Welcome back to Bourbon Beer and Basketball One-on-One, where we break down the brackets with the same care you pour good whiskey. And speaking of things that'll make your hand shake, let's talk about Arkansas barely surviving High Point and what should have been a comfortable second-round win. If you had the Razorbacks going deep in your bracket, you might need something stronger than what's in your glass right now. This wasn't just a close game. This was a full-blown March Madness heart attack special. The kind of game that reminds us why we love this tournament. Because on any given night, a mid-major with a solid game plan can make a power conference team look absolutely mortal. High Point came into this game with nothing to lose and everything to prove, and they nearly pulled off the upset. Meanwhile, Arkansas looked like a team that believed their own press a little too much. We're diving into what went wrong for the Razorbacks, what went spectacularly right for the Panthers, and what this means as we head into the Sweet 16 picture. Was this just a bad defensive night, or did High Point expose some fundamental flaws in Arkansas's game? And more importantly, if you're a bourbon drinker, are you reaching for the celebratory pour or the I need to calm my nerves pour after watching that ending? Let's break it all down. Welcome to the show, our guest Bourbon Beer and Basketball panel member and official USA Basketball Youth Development License Coach, Jonathan Yates. How's it going, Johnny?
Party people, we're back in the building. Well, Sam. Limited one-on-one is going to be that.
Party person.
Party person. Yeah, there it is.
You've had a rough go at the Bourbon Beer and Basketball Conference Draft Challenge. Teams that should have won didn't, and teams that shouldn't have been knocked out of their tournaments did or were. What was the biggest takeaway from this challenge that you've had?
That I don't know anything. No, I think the biggest takeaway from this challenge, honestly, when you're picking things, is to kind of go with your gut. Because like I'd said, and I think it was the week 4 podcast when we were breaking down some of the mid-majors, and I said that UNI, Northern Iowa, was a dark horse in that conference, and everybody's kind of needs to look out for them. And then they make that little late season spurt, and they get in, and they had a decent showing, but that was one game. Obviously, Bethune-Cookman, that whole conference was just up and down. Didn't really know who was what in that. So the other takeaway is don't let ChatGPT pick you last.
Yes. Well, the good news is it looks like you are going to be, not really good news, but it looks like you're going to be at worst a tie for last place, which means you're in the top 2 picks for next year already.
All right. How about that?
So you can tell Nick that the Big East is all yours now.
Yeah. You know what? I might take the Mountain West instead.
All right. Let's get into Arkansas's nail-biting second-round victory over the Panthers. The Razorbacks had a traditional SEC powerhouse, found themselves in an unexpected dogfight against the Big South's High Point Panthers. This game represents a classic March Madness storyline where a mid-major program nearly pulls off an upset against a higher seed power conference team. The narrow margin of victory exposed both Arkansas's vulnerabilities and High Point's resilience in tournament play. So before we dive into the X's and O's, what was your immediate reaction when that final buzzer sounded and Arkansas survived by the skin of their teeth?
A big sigh of relief. Man, that I was yelling at the TV the whole time. And then they finally listened to me through the screen, and it was great. But mainly it was a big sigh of relief because that was a nail biter, but ultimately that was a really, really fun game. Yeah.
High Point, Big South program, doesn't get the same recruiting classes or media attention as the SEC schools. What did you see in their preparation and execution that allowed them to hang with Arkansas for 40 minutes?
Not to take anything away from that. Obviously their coach, Coach Clavin, Flynn Clavin over there did a great job of having them prepared. If you listen to his post-game speech when they after they beat Wisconsin. It was like, man, I want to run through a brick wall. So honestly, like having a coach like that, and I'm sure the rest of the staff is like right there with him in those kind of terms. Man, it gets those guys ready to play regardless. But the other kind of takeaways that I noticed is not so much about what happens with X's and O's and the execution and this and that. They had, and this is what this tournament is about. They've got a couple of really good players over there, in Rob Martin, a point guard, and Cameron Fletcher, one of their bigs, their forwards. And it just kind of lets you know what this era of college basketball is all about. Just these guys got experiences in various locations. Like Rob Martin was at Indiana State, and Southeast Missouri, I think is where he was right before he got to High Point. So he played a lot of different pieces of competition. Plus, he was so quick. He's so fast with the ball. Really dynamic player. And, the difference between a really good guard at that mid-major to even low major versus a high major guard is legitimately about 4 inches of height.
Mm-hmm.
The skill level is all just about the same when you talk about the guards. It's just a little bit taller. That's really it. But again, coming back into this era that we're in, Cameron Fletcher started at Kentucky. That's where he first got brought into college basketball. So that's a high major recruit. And he shows it every time he steps on the court and plays somebody. You can tell him and Rob Martin are the main 2 guys, and they were just quickness and skill problems, basically.
Yeah. Oh, hot take question time.
Not to mention Chase Johnson, who's just got the quickest release I have ever seen on his shot. Like he shoots it before he touches it.
Yeah. Yep. Amazed at that kid. How cool is that to score your very first 2-pointer to win a game against Wisconsin?
And a wide open layup.
Yep. All right. Hot take time.
Yep.
Is this Arkansas team actually a Final Four contender, or did this game reveal their second weekend exit waiting to happen?
I still, in my heart of hearts, believe this is a Final Four team. Darius Acuff Jr. makes this a Final Four team. If he's not the dog that he is, DAWG dog, then maybe they're a first or second weekend type of out. But with him at the helm, they can legitimately hang with and beat any of the teams that are remaining in the tournament. In fact, there's 4 SEC teams left. We can beat all of them. Believe we have. And then we've played many of the others that are still there and either hung with them or beat them. I think this is a legitimate chance for a run.
Looking at Arkansas's remaining bracket path, does a scare like this wake them up and make them more dangerous, or does it plant seeds of doubt that could derail their tournament run?
That's a really good question. But this could be one of those cases where you're led by freshmen, and then you've got guys that have been there with Trevin Brazile, Carter Knox, even though he's injured, Malik Ewan had been there before, Nick Pringle's been kind of in those kind of games before. The experience that they have, DJ Wagner was in the run last year with them. That experience, I think, maybe makes them numb to the closeness of this game. Just like, look, this is what we got to work on. Let's push forward. So it might light a little something else there. I don't think it's planting any seeds of doubt. And if there were any from any of the freshmen, you didn't see it in that game. It would have probably showcased at the end, if so, in such a tight game. But both of them really, Malik Thomas and Darius Acuff, really clutch baskets at the end. I don't think they're scared of anything. I think it's just going to ignite a fire and wake them up.
Good deal. I hope so. They're my I got Michigan in one, but Florida let me down already. So it's basically Arkansas is my only hope. I picked some really crappy picks in my
I
Michigan
did too,
bracket.
man. Look, I got Florida and Virginia already out of my Final Four.
Yeah, it's bad.
Don't listen to
But
me.
that's why ESPN decided second chance brackets were a good thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, give me your best bourbon or beer pairing for this game. Are we talking smooth and celebratory for Arkansas fans, or something bitter and regret filled?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think it's one that you drink and you go, I don't know about this. And the more you drink it, you're like, that's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah, I like it.
Let's call it like a gin beam. All right.
There we go. There we go.
You drink it first, you're like, ugh. Yeah. Well,
All right, I'll take it. Looking ahead, if you're Arkansas's next opponent, what did High Point put on film that you're absolutely going to exploit in your game plan?
As good as Darius Acuff Jr. is offensively, I'm taking my best guard and whoever he is defending in that time, and I'm putting him in a pick and roll. Hopefully we get a switch out of it, and if we don't, we're getting right downhill. And if it goes off of him, we're getting downhill. I don't know if the point guard at Arizona is as quick as Rob Martin is, which I'm sure he is because he's at Arizona.
Yeah.
But Rob Martin was able to get downhill basically whenever he wanted. And a lot of times it came because of a switch off with Darius Acuff Jr.
Yeah. Speaking of Acuff Jr., is he cementing himself as not just tournament MVP, but a potential lottery pick in the coming years? And how much will Arkansas need to rely on him to get to the Elite Eight?
Well, if this answers anything for you, for freshman wise, he has the most points after 2 games than any freshman in the history of the NCAA. That should let you know how much they rely on him, right?
Yeah.
He's the GoDaddy. It's going to run as he runs. So if they're going to get it to the Elite Eight, it's going to be on the shoulders of Darius Acuff Jr. But he's already projected to be about a number 7, 6 to 8 type of pick. I think right now he's square. They've got him locked in as a number 7 to the Mavs. I think is where his projection is. But it feels like he's climbing a little bit every game.
Right. You think he's got to win national championship to get over that hump and into that lottery conversation?
No, I mean, he's already lottery. I mean, lottery's at 14.
Oh, I mean, first, number 1. I should have said number 1, not lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to see him being the number 1 overall pick. I think it was just strictly on talent and mentality. I think so, but he is 6'3". But then you got a guy like DeBansa that's 6'8" and has all the same skills, same mentality. He's 6'8". Those guys with height, they always get a little bit more leeway than the shorter guys. And the way the NBA is right now, yeah, it's going to be hard to see anyone taking a Darius Acuff over somebody like a DeBansa.
Yeah. Do you have concerns about whether or not he enters the transfer portal, a one and done, or think he'll stick it out as a hog and maybe come back and try and run it back?
Man, I would love for him to come back. He's gone. He's going to the NBA after this. I have no doubt about it. And if he considers coming back into college and then transferring, he just needs to look at a rival conference member in Florida and a point guard named Boogie Fland that played at Arkansas last year.
Mm-hmm.
Right before conference play, he was averaging right about 15 points and 6 assists as a point guard for us. played really good ball. He got hurt. He was out. He came back in the tournament or the SEC tournament, played a couple of games, never picked up the same amount of steam. And that hurt his draft chances too, because he was a projected lottery pick until that. And then he was, late first round to early second round, came back to college, went to Florida, and his numbers have all dipped since then. And now it's like he may have to come back another year. So kind of hurting his chances in that way. I don't think Darius Acuff is that kind of guy. I think he's a little bit more skilled, but he's good. He's a one and done. He's going to be a top 5 pick, probably, maybe top 8.
All right. I'm going to throw one more question out there that wasn't on the lineup, but we're going to do it anyway. What is the biggest concern you have against Arizona? They're often seen as the most complete team still left in this tournament.
It's that they're the most complete team left in this tournament. Well, I mean, they're really good, obviously, but they have a big forward, Awaka, I think is how you pronounce his name. Averages about 9.5 rebounds a game almost. Right now, Malik Ewan has been the biggest guy on the court in the last several games, and he's kind of shown that. But now he's not going to necessarily be the biggest guy on the court. He's going to have somebody that's about the same sort of muscular build as him, similar heights, and can play just as well. So I think that, and then you got Krivas over there that's another 7'2". That's the thing that scares me with Arizona is they are your traditional type of high major where you're 7 foot, 6'8", 6'8", 6'6". I mean, we have the height to match up with them, but we also don't have the same amount of depth. Right now we're going 7 deep, can go 8 if Carter Knox plays. I don't think he's projected to play this weekend either. I think I said it's going to be a Final Four matchup if he's going to play again. So that might hurt us a little bit, only going 7 deep. And if Nick Pringle's still hurting and ailing a hamstring, then he doesn't play again. Now we're down to 6 guys, which we played basically all weekend.
Yeah.
So, you worry about fatigue. You worry about nagging injuries due to having to play between 36 and 40 minutes for everyone.
Thanks again, Jonathan, for joining us on this episode of Bourbon Beer and Basketball 1-on-1. That'll do it. Arkansas wins a thriller over High Point 94-88. Until next time, stay safe.